So I have been playing Torim Online for probably the last 5 days now. Typically, how I've gone about playing mobile games for this channel is I would download a game. I would play it for maybe approximately an hour. I would then give my first impression of that mobile game, and my impression would consist of gameplay that transpired over the course of that hour period, and that would give me a very limited view of what the game was like. And while it is impossible to really delve too deeply into pretty much any game if you're doing multiple videos per week, but I wanted to take more time specifically for this game and for additional games in the future, because I feel like I want to get or not necessarily get, I want to have a better grasp of what these games provide, what they offer. Because the very first time I played Torim Online, I played for about an hour. I hit like level 10, maybe level 15. I really didn't put much time into it. I really put no effort whatsoever. I didn't take the time to learn anything or explore anything. I went to maybe a grand total of 3 different areas over the course of my time within the game. And while I did do a video on it that went on to garner 70,000, 80,000 views, I did not experience nearly as much as I did over the course of the last week. And let me tell you, Torim Online, well, okay, let's backtrack a little bit here. Torim Online is developed and published by Asobimo. They are a Japanese mobile game developer, and they've done a truckload of mobile games, each of which have been highly successful in their own right. Alchemia Story, Aruna Online, Izanagi Online, Torim Online. They have a plethora of different video games that have released, and again, have all been relatively successful. And I plan on going through all of these probably over the next couple months, delving into them a lot deeper than I ever have, trying to see what makes them as good as they are. So, Torim Online is an MMORPG developed and published by Asobimo. This is a game that surprisingly has quite a strong narrative. When I play mobile MMOs, they are mostly just copy and paste auto-playing pieces of trash. And I know some of you out there are gonna be like, Styx, that's really harsh to say, but it is the harsh reality. The majority of mobile MMOs are absolute garbage. They all play the exact same way. There's almost no narrative found within any of them. You click your quest on the right side of your screen, and then you you navigate to the quest objective, it automatically fights the enemies for you, and then it auto routes you to the NPC that allows you to complete your quest. And this is pretty much repeated almost endlessly until you hit a point in the game where you're just out of content to consume. Torim Online, on the other hand, it does not. Not only does it not have auto combat, not only does it not have auto pathing and auto routing, not only is this game pretty much void of autoplay from what I've seen, but again, this actually has a narrative that pushes you through the game. And I feel like if more mobile MMOs had narratives that are as well thought out as they are in Torim, which granted, I will say that the narrative in Torim isn't really that well thought out. I've seen much better MMOs like in Final Fantasy XIV or in Guild Wars 2 or the Elder Scrolls Online. I've seen better narratives in mobile games in general, not necessarily mobile MMOs, but mobile games. But if mobile MMOs had stronger narratives like what we've seen over the course of the last week in a game like Torim, I feel like PC gamers, console gamers would be less inclined to just write mobile MMOs off as being just autoplay, pay-to-win crap. Now, there is a lot to do in Torim. It is not an action MMO. It is I don't even know how you go about referring to the type of combat it uses. You select an enemy and then you mash your attack button. You can utilize various different skills that you've learned. It's not like, I guess you can cycle through the different enemies, but it is not action combat. Graphically, the game definitely looks very, very dated, but given when this was released, you wouldn't expect it to really look that aesthetically appealing. But given that this is a Japanese game as well, for some reason I feel like Japanese games put less emphasis on the visual aspect of the game than games that are developed in South Korea or China do. And then Japanese games also have a much stronger narrative as well. And you know what, probably, I feel like you'll agree with this, but better voice acting too. Because typically they tend to use voice actors from anime and video games. And by voice actors, I mean Japanese voice actors, not the English dub voice actors. Now, Torim Online offers a very large world, albeit the game does utilize segregated zones. This means that the areas are instanced off from one another and connected via a loading screen, but you can see tons of different players out in the field anyway. You can engage with them, you can party with them and do battle with them. The class system provides you stat points, which gives you the option of kind of progressing with your character in a way you want, providing you the ability to kind of build and adjust your character in a way that suits you, as opposed to being stuck with a cookie cutter build, which you're probably going to go ahead and follow anyway. The same applies to your skills. I did find that running from area to area took way too much time. I feel like I got lost on occasion and couldn't make my way back. And when I finally found the route back, I'd wasted like 10, maybe 15 minutes of running around. And that's because the interface, the map, the UI in general is just a little bit unintuitive, I guess, making it difficult to kind of navigate and figure out where you are and where you have to go. Now, in Torim, I ended up having a lot more fun than I thought I was going to. I've never probably dedicated this much time to a mobile MMO ever, and I am pleasantly surprised that I ended up ultimately having some fun. This is one of the rare instances where I can excuse me. This is one of the rare instances where I can legitimately recommend a mobile MMO to you guys. Typically I'm like, no, this is trash, stay away from it. But in this instance, I can genuinely say this turned out to be relatively fun if you're into a mobile MMO that has a narrative, an actual narrative that has decent combat, looks fairly appealing, and generally has plenty to do. Then this is your bet.
Someday soon I'm gonna make it. Yeah, all hard work's gonna be worth it. Ooh,